WNB1 Radio broadcasting live 24/7. All music genres. WNB1 Radio, your urban music link.
What's up, New Bedford? Good people listening in on WNB1 Radio or live on Facebook. I'm Steve Lopes along with Derek Kahn.
What up, everybody?
And we're here for another week to talk sports with you guys, man. A lot of topics. Where you want to start, Derek?
I figure we just give them a quick run through and what topics we're going to be talking about.
All right. Well, got a lot of Major League Baseball in the Hot Stove League. A lot of free agent signings have found their way in, and a couple of rumors going on. Some trades happening. Got the mid-season basketball tournament in the NBA down to the Final Four. We got women's college basketball tonight, 7 o'clock. UConn at Notre Dame. No AZ FUD. College football playoffs have been set, so we're good for that. And as always, we got the NFL recap. We'll talk about what happened last week, what to look forward to this week, and another NBA story. Jimmy Butler trade rumors. We'll dive into that, give you our takes on what we see happening and where possible destinations are. So, I don't know, man. Let Derek Kahn pick what topic we want to go on first.
Since, look at that Honolulu Blue team that's in first place. I think we should start with the NFL.
Maui tournament? Oh,
you want to call
it? The NFL? All right.
If that's what you want to call it.
We'll talk about the team in second place, too, right?
For the Chiefs?
No, in the NFC, man. We care about the Chiefs right now. All right, man. So, once again, Detroit's holding to form, doing what they got to do. You're getting some key people back this week, too.
Yeah, last week.
Like 4 defensive people.
Yeah, 4 starters.
Yeah.
Starters, man. That's big. I ain't gonna lie up front. I was nervous about last week, man. It was crazy. You see the comments? It was crazy last week.
Bottom chat.
Nothing in this shit. But yeah, did you find any games that interesting that you might want to talk about from last week? Well, the Detroit Packers game was.
Yeah, that was the
because Thursday.
It meant the most because
and it was a Thursday night game. It was the first game of the week.
You clinched the division. And
no, we didn't clinch the division. We clinched a playoff spot.
Oh, because you're 3 games ahead of. Oh yeah,
I'm only 1 game ahead of Minnesota.
Yeah,
but
that was
2 games ahead of.
And
3 games ahead
down to the wire.
Packers.
So it made it real interesting at the end.
Oh, it definitely did. And my man Dan Gamble.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he's doing that a little too much, man. I was like,
hey,
I know he's tried to make his reputation on that, but you got to be smart when to do it, when not.
Honestly, at that point, in a way, I can see why he did it. Because, in my opinion, the reason why he did it is because of all the injuries that we had on the defense, and I think our defense was starting to wear down, and you didn't want to leave Love with too much time on the clock.
Well, that was definitely. He didn't want to give Green Bay a chance to come back and win.
What up, Paul? What up, John? Jonathan Nobre. And ain't no comedian over here, brother. It's the truth. The Lions are first place. Hey,
Jonathan,
NFL,
now we can out-purple him, man. 2-1.
It don't matter. You can out-purple me in second place.
Hey, we play you again.
That game ain't going to mean nothing. We're still going to take the division.
Don't you play Buffalo this week? No said.
Did you see Buffalo lose to the Rams last week?
That's right. It's going to be revenge.
I ain't worried about it.
It's going to be revenge.
I ain't worried about them.
Philly also kept pace, but not impressively.
Not even close.
They could have lost if Leggett would have caught the ball.
They should have lost. Philly looked like when they played Green Bay in the playoffs last year. Oof. That's what they looked like.
That was hard to watch because their offense was horrible.
But did you hear the rumors?
Not getting along
with the number one receiver with the number one quarterback.
But I also saw them both refute it and blame Brandon Graham for like exaggerating the story that doesn't really exist. I think Brandon Graham knew something was going on,
and
they didn't want it out in the public. They both downplayed it.
But if me and you were beefing right now, and Brian threw it out on the thing, we're gonna be like, nah, yo.
Well, why would Brian say it?
Come on, me and Steve is cool, man. Like,
yeah, but what do you think is leading to AJ Brown's frustration? Just because he's not the featured guy? Because
he said it.
He wants the ball more.
He wants more balls.
But you got Saquon Barkley having an incredible season, and that's a safer. They're dominating with their running game, and now the passing game's taking us a step back. And in years past, they didn't have that bell cow at running back, right?
Nope.
So how can you argue? It's like being jealous of Saquon to me. I don't even think the beefs with Jalen. Jalen's not the one calling the plays. The offensive coordinator is. So,
but when he throws the ball, he's not throwing.
There's a couple of hot reads. He's not making the right read, because I saw Dan Orlovsky break it down, and he said Jalen Hurts is hanging on to the ball. It's not that he's avoiding throwing the ball to AJ Brown. Why? He's one of the best in the business.
Yeah.
He's having an incredible year, but so is Saquon Barkley. You don't want to lean on one. When it comes playoff time, you want to be diverse. You want to be like, are they expecting to run? Are they expect? They don't want. Oh, we're going to take away AJ Brown, but now I think it's him having an ego right now.
Jonathan, I see you said they need to strike a balance, but why strike a balance if one thing's working? If one thing's working and the other team's not stopping it, why would you change up?
Yeah, Jonathan, what do you think the problem is in Philly? You team AJ or Jalen Hurts? Because I just think AJ's being a diva, which wide receivers are known to be. So,
but Paul Miranda, how can you call the OC out? The OC's not the one throwing the ball.
No, but he's calling the plays, and maybe AJ feels like he's not calling enough plays.
Or maybe Hurts.
But he didn't get mad at the OC.
Or maybe Hurts is audible at the line.
You could be.
It could be a pass play. You could be audible.
Yeah, that things got to take into consideration.
That could be a reason why he can be upset, because it's a pass play, and then this guy's audible at the line. My man Keith jumped on a bandwagon.
Is that a typo?
No.
I didn't know there was more than one. You and Ray Heltman. Kyle Parris.
That's my boy Keith.
I knew. That's why I was saying. I was like, I knew he wasn't a Lions fan.
But I don't know.
Yeah, Charlie. Sometimes you got to check your ego at the door for the betterment of the team.
Charlie says AJ needs to enjoy the ride.
Yes, he's not being required to shoulder so much of the burden. You should be grateful you have a healthy Saquon Barkley tearing up the league, and then people are going to forget about you. And guess what? They're going to stack the box for Barkley, and they're going to call a double move for something for AJ, and he's going to benefit.
And not
since birth. I hope that's friendship and not being a Lions fan. I know Mr. Keith Rodrigues came out as a Cowboys fan.
My guy,
plenty of times. So
that's my guy.
I'm reading into that since birth comment.
I'm rolling with my man Keith. That's my guy.
He said he liked the Lions since they were the Cubs. Since they were So I'm pretty interested. I don't want D-Con to play the homer role. I want an honest opinion, and I want to hear from you guys. Who is in the driver's seat in the NFC right now? Because Detroit and Philly have separated themselves. I do believe Minnesota's like a 1B.
They're right there.
Yeah, they're right there. But I still think the elite is Detroit and Philly. And I think that the advantage will come down to who gets the home field advantage in the playoffs. I think that's huge.
It's definitely huge because
it affects you more than it affects them, because they can play indoors.
But
it might be hard for you guys to go play outdoors. It takes the speed element.
I thought we proved ourselves when we went to Green Bay in the bad weather.
Well, you've got the running game now, but that's part of the argument, But I'm just saying, all things being equal, if you got all your weapons in a neutral weather condition, there's no disadvantage or advantage to nobody except you've got the home field. Right. But if you have to go play and it's really, really cold or it's snowy, I feel like it takes away some of the speed element. But because of your double-headed monster at running back, I feel you guys could adjust.
Yeah, we would have to, but I think we're a total team now. It's not like before when we would.
No, you're going to be a total team this week when you get your 4 defensive starters back.
But let me switch that up. We're a total offense now.
Yes,
where you can't just say, all right, we're going to expect Detroit to throw the ball 100 times, or we're going to expect Detroit to run the ball 100 times. They're gonna switch it up.
And I just thought about an interesting comparison. We just talked about what's going on in Philly. We don't see St. Brown doing that in Detroit because they got 2 running backs now. And before they had them, he was the man by himself. He's still the man, but not as much.
And not only that,
And Laporta too.
My man Williams is stepping up.
He is too.
He's
But
stepping
I
up,
don't,
man.
I don't,
He's
I don't
mature.
hear him, chirping about losing some receptions because now,
But this is you're winning. You're winning. You don't complain when you're winning.
and that's my point. When you compare Detroit and Philly, they're both winning, but one team's still complaining because they're not winning the way he
But
wants to win.
It's not a team. It's an individual. In my opinion.
B Mag's not sold on Philly. Why not? Detroit is the clear number 1. What's the big difference with Philly, B Mags?
Paul Miranda, you better chill out with that kid and stuff, man. And put Dallas in a small D, bro, because them boys are done. Nah, Dan Campbell. Dan Gamble, man. Get his name right. It's not Dan Campbell anymore. It's Dan Gamble.
Like we just talked about, I like his moxie, but I think he goes to it too much because he's done it so much. I like the fact that he's willing to go in the right situation.
But my thing is,
but if he misses, his team's in a bad spot.
We have a kicker now. So once anything inside 58 to and up, I think he'll kick it now, in my opinion. Last year,
Where did they have the ball last week when he went for it? Weren't they in field goal range and he decided to run out the clock?
Yeah, but that's because he wanted to run out the clock.
You just said if they're in field goal range, I think he'll kick it. And we just saw that not happen. That's why I was like, maybe not. It all depends on which way the wind blows with him. But I do like the idea that he didn't want to give Jordan Love another chance to come back.
Yes. And that's my opinion. That's what he wanted to do.
All right. I'm still waiting for B-Mag to tell us why he's not sold on Philly and why he thinks Detroit is the clear number 1. And it might have something to do with what you said about Detroit is now a well-rounded team. They have very few holes. They have none on offense. Offensive line.
If I'm mistaken, at one point, I'm not sure now because after the last few games, but at one point we were top 5 in offense and top 5 in defense. At one point,
and I think the injuries might have caused you to slide a lot. You're getting everybody but Hutchinson back.
That's why I'm not saying now. At one point we were top 5 in both.
Okay,
and I know after seeing today on the internet, we giving up the second least amount of points in the NFL. So the Chargers are first. The Chargers, Lions, Eagles. You guys were.
Yeah, we dropped a little bit.
You guys were, I think, 6th, but it was a difference between either 6 or 4 points between us two.
Okay, well, everybody has an Achilles heel that they just don't match up well. Do you feel there's anybody, as far as Detroit goes, that you'd like to stay away from until the NFC Championship? Is there anybody that scares you?
Philly.
I don't. Yeah, but you won't play. You're going to be the number 1 and number 2 seed, so you're not going to play. But anybody besides Philly that you feel?
I know what you want me to say. I'm just messing with you.
No, I'm just curious because I know where I don't want to go. I'd rather see somebody else.
Minnesota's going to be a tough out. Like you have two of the top receivers in the game right now playing well, and Sam Darnold's playing like a Pro Bowler right now.
I don't see anybody in the NFC South posing a threat, and I really don't see anybody in the NFC West.
Wait a minute. There's a team that, if they get going, they're going to be tough. That's the Rams.
Excuse me. I stand corrected. You're right.
The Rams.
For some reason, I was thinking, but I said NFC South. Oh, no, I did say NFC West, too. Yeah. The Rams, and they got higher playoff hopes than a lot of people. Tonight is a huge game. San Fran's got a lot of people.
Brian Mag, I still believe the secondary of Detroit is questionable. They can be thrown on. Green Bay has a great chance, but couldn't make stuff.
But you did get Brian Branch back already, right?
Yeah.
He played last week?
Yeah. Philly loses their identity at times when things not going well. Saquon is their cash cow right off of him.
Yeah, but as we've seen, and we just mentioned, that's causing a disconnect with A.J. Brown because he wants to be the cash cow. Brian, do you think there's a little bit of greed and selfishness going on with A.J. Brown, or does he have a legitimate reason to feel slighted? if that's possible when you're 11-2 or whatever they are.
Yeah, they only have 2 losses. Right?
Yeah,
But
but
I
think they're winning so much.
I just don't see where the problem is. And obviously it's not the media that's making this problem up, because
Nope,
it
in-house.
came from in-house.
And I believe Brandon Graham, and I think he was forced to retract that because it looked bad for the internal squabble.
Yes, definitely. But who was it? Was it Terrell Owens? I think he had a tweet about the situation. He said, "Doesn't it sound familiar?" But I guess Hurt said something like that, like taking a responsibility or whatever. And he said, "Does it sound familiar, Donovan, who didn't want to take responsibility where he should?"
Same city.
Yeah, same thing. That's B Mags.
I don't see the only previous comment I saw from him was that one, unless we missed one.
B Mag said, "Who cares? I said it in the previous comment. He has his contract. He has zero to prove and trying to be the man."
Yeah, but that's why I just say it's pure greed and selfishness.
But
you're paid, you're winning.
This is my thing. I think there was a riff because that game was so close against the Carolina Panthers.
So emotions took over.
Yes.
Is this the only week he said something? Because I thought he's been
I'm not
barking for a couple of weeks.
This is the first that I've heard of.
It's the biggest that we've heard. But
It's the first I've heard.
But I heard, and they showed plenty of highlights of them being like greatest of friends up until recently. So maybe something happened off the field. We don't know. But on the field, all cylinders are go. You stubbed your toe a little bit. You can't look great every week. You know? Right, Paul. Every wide receiver, that's the diva syndrome. Tyreek Hill, all of them great wide receivers, they got to be the man.
Yep.
You know, I wish they would take a page out of the Rams since you just mentioned him, because Cooper Kupp was the man and won the Triple Crown, and he's got Pika Nakua coming in and outdoing him.
I knew she said something. My man Manny got my back on this one. He said T.O. basically called McNabb a hypocrite for giving them advice and saying to basically talk amongst one another, not to the press. But they didn't talk to the press. It was Graham that talked to the press. That came out with it first.
Well, he's talking about maybe in the old situation with McNabb and Owens.
No.
He said
McNabb was giving them advice not to talk to the press.
Oh.
Yo, Paul, you and that Kittens, man, you're about to get banned from this thing, man.
But let's talk about what type of threat you think the Rams will pose. Because I think not only would they pose a problem for Detroit, they're going to pose a problem
for everybody.
For anybody. That's a team you want to catch on cold weather in the East where the time zone's different. It's freezing cold.
You just seen
play an early game. Like if they played in Green Bay in a wild card game and it was cold.
You just seen what they did to the Bills last week.
Of course. But we're talking about their wide receivers. Their running back is healthy.
Yeah,
they don't have the greatest defense, so they got to outscore teams. But I haven't seen nobody shut them down.
Matthew Stafford can still swing that route.
And he has weapons. They might need another offensive lineman, but he's doing the most with what he's got. St. Brown is willing to make the plays that win games. Oh, yeah. That was the comparison we made. As long as you get that W, some people, as long as you get that W, they're happy. Other people, their ego,
they don't want the W.
If they weren't involved in that W,
yeah.
But you know what that frustrates me, and I say this when I see the young kids playing now, they'll care more about personal stats and be happy with that and get an L as long as they looked good in the process, rather than they weren't the main part of the win and they can't share the limelight with other people. They have to be the talk of the town. We won, but what about me? You know, you didn't have your greatest game. Maybe somebody else had a great game that day. You're not happy, even though you won.
Yep.
But you could lose and have a great game, and you're feeling good about yourself. That's selfish because the rest of the team's down because they took the L. So
you do hate B-Mag, Paulo. Oh, wait, you just hate that he's a Cowboy fan. That's what it is. My fault. My fault.
So do we have we saw an interesting game in Buffalo last week.
Yes.
Let's expound upon that because Buffalo was home. They had just finished beating Kansas City, right? Like a week or two ago.
2 weeks ago or something.
And now they're at home in another big game, and they got it handed to them pretty good.
Well, I wouldn't say. Well, the final score was it was a high scoring game.
Yeah.
44-42.
Mm.
That's the most points the Rams scored this year.
But that was like a one-man show. I think we saw some of Josh Allen's greatness because how do you pass and run for 3 TDs? He was responsible for all 6 TDs.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's something that's never been done.
No?
To score rush three touchdowns and pass for 2 touchdowns in the same game.
Right. But that's also telling me that both teams have a way to go on defense if they want to be serious contenders.
Yeah, I'm just looking at he led the team in rushing too. 10 carries for 82 yards.
Yeah, and it's not like they haven't been running the game with Cook and the rookie that broke off a long run, Johnson or whatever his name is.
That might have been a pass because it's not the rushes.
Well, 2 weeks ago he ran off a run, and last week he caught a short pass and took it to the end zone. But Trey Johnson, I think his name is
Ty.
Yeah, all right. But for the quarterback to be your leading passer and your leading rusher, he had a hand in every single score. So with that showing at home, showing vulnerability, losing at home, how does that change where we see Buffalo in the overall picture of the AFC?
Buffalo's still going to be the 2 seed. I can't see KC losing 2 more games. They got a 2-game lead on Buffalo right now.
All right.
And Buffalo has 3 losses they have.
So who's in the 3-4 spots in the AFC?
In the 3-4 spots, it'd be Pittsburgh. When did it?
Because I know Houston fell down.
Baltimore. No,
Pittsburgh and Baltimore.
Pittsburgh.
Has to be Pittsburgh, Baltimore.
No, they're in the same division.
No, I'm saying for the AFC rankings. Like the 1 seed, 2 seed, 3 seed, 4 seed. So I'm saying if Buffalo and Kansas City are the 1 and 2 seeds in the AFC.
Yeah, but it goes by divisions. The 3 and 4 will be the division winners.
I was thinking just record wise, so I wasn't.
Give me a second. I got you. 1 second, sir. Just damn it. All right. Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Houston, KC.
Houston's still up there?
Houston,
because they're a division. They're leading that division.
They're 8-5.
Yeah, but they were a little better, and they dropped a couple of games when Nico Collins was out. Hey, Charlie Perry, I seen that comment. Speaking of slackers, where the Patriots ranked? All right, next question.
No, I don't think he's talking about that.
He said slackers.
Yeah, I don't think he means football. But anyways, yeah, so there's only 2 teams that clinched so far in the AFC. That's Buffalo and KC.
Yeah, I was just
they both already clinched their divisions.
I was just trying to see who might pose a threat besides them 2 in the AFC, or is it?
You got Denver, you got the Chargers. They're both playing well.
Yeah, but I don't think better than Pittsburgh, and I don't think more of a threat than Pittsburgh, and more of a threat than Houston. Houston,
I would take the Chargers over Houston.
Houston got a problem with their defense, and it's funny because they played so well at the beginning of the year, but the second half of the year, their secondary has been getting thrown on like crazy, and I'm like, are they not getting enough of the pass rush? I don't know how much the linebackers are contributing.
Your boy had a good first.
He had a good first half, but this is what happens with him every year. That's what I was going to get to. He fades toward the end of the year, and he never gets that sack at the end of the game that kills a drive. Yeah. I've seen Grenade do it already. I've seen Van Ginkel do it already. It's a welcoming feeling that when somebody's trying to come back, your defense can make a game-changing play. Hunter always dominated when it didn't count, but when the game was on the line, as the season went on, his numbers seemed to fade. I don't know if it's conditioning. Yeah. I don't know if he loses focus.
It could be conditioning.
Yeah, it could be. But I was trying to compare what the AFC was to the NFC because I think the NFC seems a lot tougher.
Oh, it's definitely a lot tougher.
And I was trying to see.
But don't get me wrong. There's some There's gonna be some tough teams in the AFC.
I'm still riding with Houston in the AFC. I just like what they're doing. Like
Houston?
right now, that's my favorite
That's
AFC team.
Sleeper?
To do well in the playoffs, to go further than people think. You know, everybody, I think they can be either one of those top 2 seeds under the right conditions. Unfortunately, both those games would be on the road, and they'd probably both be bad weather, which wouldn't brew well for Houston unless Mixon can just run crazy. But then you're taking the Nico Collins effect out. You're taking Tank Dell out. They've already lost Diggs, but they're taking some of the speed element away from Houston on offense.
It's all about how Stroud is.
Yeah, but when he has
Stroud's
more
key.
weapons, then they can't depend. Yeah, if he's accurate, he's another one. He played great the whole year last year, but this year he definitely played better at the beginning, and now he's kind of been average the second half of the season.
Like honestly, like my sleeper in the AFC is the Chargers. And
They got the defense.
That's
Defense can travel wherever you go, right?
what I mean. And defense can play in any weather.
Hunter's back is a plague to him. Yeah, that was the problem in Minnesota. And it's hard to detect back problems. And if your back's not right, it affects, everything, your movement, your strength, your quickness. Maybe he wears down at the end of the year, and that's why the Vikings weren't willing to pay him what they did. And it looks like with the way Grenard's playing, he was just NFC Defensive Player of the Month.
Yeah. So who do you think your final 4 in the AFC is going to be?
The 2 teams at the top that we mentioned.
Yeah.
And I think Houston's a dark horse. And I think Pittsburgh or San Diego. I mean, Pittsburgh or the Chargers. I don't believe in Denver. I think they've had a nice, solid season. But when it comes to playoffs, I think it's a different ball game. No disrespect to them, but I think they're outperforming their expectations right now.
Do you think it's because of the young quarterback?
I think he's learning, but I don't think he's learned enough to win on the road in a big playoff game. A couple of more weapons next year through free agency and the draft.
Sutton's having
And that seasoning. Huh?
Sutton's having a big year for him.
Yeah, and I think him and Knicks have learned each other because it didn't start off that way,
Yeah.
Started off a little rough. They got to take the training wheels off of Knicks too. Like he's getting a little bit more freedom, but he's not setting the world on. He's 15 to 20 attempts a game, maybe. They're not letting him air it out by any means.
Yeah.
It's conservative, but the more freedom they get, he can also run the ball a little bit. So I think they're going to be all right. But I think Pittsburgh has more veteran leadership. And they also got a tough defense that will travel.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But I think that it would be Kansas City.
But the thing that scares me about
But I didn't even mention Baltimore. But
the thing that scares me about Pittsburgh is that nutcase they have at wide receiver, man.
he didn't play last week.
I
He
know.
might not play this week.
Like he's turning into Antonio Brown already.
I think to be a number 1 wide receiver, you have to have that diva gene. But with him, I think there's an immaturity gene.
Yeah, it's not. That's what I mean. It's not a diva. It's like he wants to be a punk.
And I know Coach Tomlin mentioned, he admitted during an interview that Pickens has some growing up to do.
Yeah.
He has to improve on his immaturity.
That's crazy.
When things don't go his way, he's exploding on the sidelines,
Yo, that's Antonio Brown 2.0.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's crazy because he's in his 3rd, 4th year, and he's doing this.
Mhm.
I know.
You got a veteran coach. You're winning now. I can see in the past when you lose, you get frustrated. But that's another A.J. Brown situation right now because those 2 teams are winning. Maybe it's something in the water in Pennsylvania. You can't have the wide receivers drink the water in Pennsylvania, man. They get that diva, But I don't know, man. It's a lot more is going to get determined, obviously, this week. We got a big game tonight. Do you think San Fran is that game's in San Fran tonight, though, right?
Yeah.
So that'll present a bigger challenge. But San Fran got nobody left. Like everybody's hurt.
San Fran's favored by 3.
I don't know how. Just the fact that
they're playing at home.
no McCaffrey, no backup Mason,
No Trent.
and the 3rd string is questionable.
No Trent Williams.
Yeah, he hasn't been there for a while. Debo hasn't been Debo, and who knows how long. They've been without Ayuk for a while. They got the tight end, and they got Kittle. And
G. Simpson, what up, bro?
what's Hey, what up, Greg? What's Irrigunda? But he's got a sprained foot and he's a game time decision.
Game time decision.
So
Last week.
you're down to your third running back. You got so many key players at different positions that are banged up, that are out, and you can only ask so much for everybody to step up. I mean, that's the difference between them and Kansas City. Kansas City had a lot of injuries and they persevered. They didn't have as many, but San Fran, that's a little overwhelming. That's, your 1 and 2 running backs, your 1-2 wide receiver. I think Ayuk was their number 1 wide receiver.
Yeah, Ayuk was their number 1.
You got their number 1 lineman. You got people out on defense. I mean, it's just too much to overcome. But I think the Rams are going to get them tonight.
I
don't think they'll blow them out.
In my opinion, I think
27-24 the Rams.
I think the Rams are going to win out.
The rest of the year.
They could. They have 49ers tonight. Then they go to the Jets. Then they have the Cardinals. And they finish off with Seattle. If they run it out, they'll win the division no matter what. Because they got the.
Well, if they stay healthy,
they're capable. They got the tiebreaker in Seattle as of right now. So
do we have anything else in the NFL that's newsworthy? That any games coming up this week, Sunday? That you guys got a big game.
Then there's Steelers and Philly.
Okay, so how do we see those 2 games playing out? You guys got the 4:00 against who now?
We played Buffalo, and that's a 4:25.
That's home for you guys, all right?
Yeah. I'm gonna be watching both games. I'm gonna have a Steelers on this side, Lions on this side.
You're gonna sell out for 1 week.
I didn't say sell out. I'm gonna root for.
No, you're selling out only because they're playing a team that you want to lose
right.
because it affects where Detroit is in the standings.
That's right. The boys been banged up.
Yeah, Mud. They're another team, but there's just so many. But San Fran still has a glimmer of hope, but it ain't much. But
yeah, the Dallas,
Dallas
still,
and Kansas City suffered some brutal injuries this year, so they're not what you expect them to be. But if everybody comes back healthy on any of those teams and they add top draft choices and a little bit of free agency, they're a different team when healthy. Now, they're going to have the advantage of getting some high draft picks, and hopefully the GMs make the right moves. In San Fran, I don't doubt it. In Dallas, I doubt it because I don't trust Jerry as a GM.
Another good game is going to be the Dolphins and Texans.
Yes.
That's going to be a good game.
It's going to be warm weather no matter where they play, so there'll be no excuses.
Bucks and Chargers.
Yeah, but
they both need it. Well, the Chargers need it more than the Bucks, but the Bucks need it to stay on top.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about that shortly, Greg. Hopefully before 7 o'clock hits. But he's talking about he's with us until the UConn women against Notre Dame.
Well, we can move on if you want.
Well, that's only we only got. Let's get to that topic right away because I know Greg will have something to add. So, Greg, what's your thoughts on tonight? We know the game's in Notre Dame and there's no Ozzie Fudd. So how does that change that big guard matchup? I mean, UConn has some other good guards. The girl that shook was it Chen? The girl that transferred from Princeton. She looked really good. She'll probably she starts anyway. I think they went with a 3-guard offense, but
UConn is still UConn.
Yeah. And I think UConn travels about as good as any team in women's college basketball because as long as you get, and I know I'm going to cause some controversy here. I believe a healthy Paige Beckers is the best college asset in women's basketball because not only can she dominate when she has to, but she makes everybody on the court better. I think, there's a lot of other great ball players out there, but I don't know if they can control so many different dimensions. But there's no moment too big for Paige Beckers. And UConn got a very talented and confident team. I want to see how I wish Fudd was playing, but I wanted to see that matchup against Notre Dame, especially for the guards. But it's still going to be something. But even without Fudd, I'm not convinced with Notre Dame's inside play. And I think that's going to be the problem. They did just get the girl from Canada back, Prosper. but she hasn't dominated. I think she's still finding her legs and where she fits in because they're three-headed monster with the gods with Olivia Miles and Hannah Hidalgo and Sonia Citron, who's lately been scoring 15 to 20 a game, even with the presence of those two high-scoring gods. And the thing about Notre Dame when they're good, Hidalgo is the best on-ball defensive point guard I've seen in a long time, but I don't think she gets Paige Beckers out of her game. She's gone up against everybody this year, and when Notre Dame's look well, Hidalgo's averaging 5 steals a game. That's unheard of. I've never seen somebody dominate on offense and defense so much. She leads the country in steals. She changes the dynamic of the game.
She's averaging 24.6.
I know. She's dominating on offense. She's getting assists, but then she turns around on defense and makes it hard for people to bring the ball up court. I've never seen an on-the-ball presence like her. Like, she's so excited to play offense and defense. That's a rarity to me that your best player or one of your best players is so much of a dog on defense. So, Mr. Simpson, who wins tonight? Notre Dame, UConn. I think it's going to be close.
Yeah, it's Strong.
Strong's going to do more tonight. That's my other hidden gem for tonight.
Strong, man. She's been balling.
Yeah. I'm really impressed for a freshman that she doesn't seem phased by the moment. But the pressure's not on her to carry the team because she got Beckers. She had Ozzie Fudd. Who else do they got? There's somebody else I'm missing. The one I'm surprised is the girl from Egypt, the center that comes off the bench. I was expecting her to have a bigger role, but for whatever reason, she's not starting.
Fudd, Strong, Shade.
Who was the last one?
Shade.
She's not playing bad.
Nah, she's down. She's averaging 7.
Who do you got, Paul? UConn's on the road at Notre Dame, minus Fudd. Oh, here we go. Agreed.
No. Mr. Simpson says, I think it changes. I don't think it changes that much because UConn is UConn. And they have a very talented freshman and Strong, a 3-headed monster, Hannah, Olivia, and Citron. I'm going to have a big for them to win. I'm taking the Lady Irish by 5.
Whoa. That's a combination of playing at Notre Dame and minus Ozzie Fudd. That has to be, that's being on the road is worth a 2-point advantage, being at home, but losing one of your best players on your team has got to be worth 3 points too. So I can see that being a possibility.
I don't know. I think Strong's going to be too big for them. She's going to play too strong for them, in my opinion.
All right, Greg, I just mentioned about Hannah Hidalgo's ability to change the game on defense. Do you think she's capable of disrupting what Paige Beckers does, or is Paige Beckers just too good of an overall player to be affected by that? From an iconic point guard like yourself, I'm curious to hear your take on this.
Mike Davis, you better watch your mouth, boy. That's how you go. He's a true Buffalo Bills fan, that guy.
Oh, so yeah, he has reason to be.
He's this guy.
Be all riled up.
I'm not even putting up your comment, but
Paul Paris, I'm waiting on your take on tonight's game.
My guy, Mike Davis. I don't know.
I was hoping we'd hear from some of the ladies tonight too, man. Some of our girls that follow our posts. Hidalgo attacks everyone, yes, but Paul, what about her defense? I was just posing the question that not only does she do what she does on offense, but she's also the best player on the court on defense. The only person averaging 5 steals a game. She's everywhere. She disrupts everybody's ability to run their half-court offense.
And she scores. 4.1 steal a game. She's averaging.
Oh, she must have only got 3 or 4 the last couple of games. She was
averaging. Yes, sir, bro. Yes, sir. You should come down and watch the game with me. Get a couple cigars.
Oh, okay. Yeah, she attacks everyone. I was thinking for some reason I interpreted attacks everyone because she attacks everyone on both ends of the floor.
Yeah, she's tough.
And it doesn't matter if it's a guard. I've seen her when they play Juju. She's up there trying to play her. I've seen her play, challenge big wings that get the ball on the wing or something like that. People that have a lot more size than her, and she's over there taking away their ability to dribble.
She's only 5'6".
She is.
She's not big.
But Juju's 6'1", and she made it hard for Juju, but Juju was able to still use her body and size to, keep. But she made it hard to cross over and stuff because she always was in the lane and had her hand in between, like she was just waiting. I wish that game came on at 8. I really, really do, because I've been waiting for that game all year. It's almost as much as when USC comes in a couple of weeks to UConn.
I think if she tries to do it back, I think Becca's closer up.
I just think Beckers is so well rounded that a great point guard doesn't get disrupted. You might slow them down a little bit, but the way Paige Beckers has shown me since her freshman year that she's handled every situation, I don't think the pressure will bother her as much as we've seen. Hell, when they played Texas, the girl Ronnie Harmon's a good point guard, but she had trouble running the offense because of the disruption that Hidalgo caused. I saw that in the USC game, but the USC point guard, their freshman, was out.
Greg has a good point here. He says, that's definitely it, Steve. It all depends on how the refs call the game. If they let Hannah be physical and ball hawk like she does, it could be a long night for Paige. But if they call it tightly, advantage Paige.
So you think the physical aspect will bother Paige? I thought the speed and quickness and just being a pest, would that stop Paige from running the offense the way she normally does? Because if that gives the advantage to to Notre Dame, especially in front of their crowd, if that happens. But I just don't feel like Paige is unbreakable.
We got another great point guard in the building, my man John Sylvia.
Yeah, man. Speaking of quick and strong, what's up, Johnny?
What up, Johnny? But I think it's gonna be a good game, man. But Notre Dame better come out and play. They can't.
They didn't look good when they went overseas and played in that tournament.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they played down to the competition, but who they lose to over there? Was it
I'm not sure. They got
it was
3 losses.
the girl that transferred from LSU.
She plays for the TCU.
Yeah, they lost to them because the big girl had a big game against them.
They have 2 losses. They can't get 3
But,
losses.
yeah, at least the game against TCU, I felt like they were worthy. They were a ranked team. But then when they came back and lost game 2, I was like, whoa. They did the same thing UConn did in Maui, except UConn lost 3 games in a row. Thank God Notre Dame only had 2. But, back in the States, they're back, they're healthy. They just got the girl I was telling you back, from Canada. So that adds a little more depth to them. But I just think that not having Fudd is going to be a big difference. So I can see Notre Dame winning, but I mean, obviously, I'll be rooting for UConn. I still think they can squeeze out a victory on the road. Whether they'll do it or not, I don't know. It depends on the people not named Sarah Strong and Paige Beckers.
And they kind of got manhandled by Utah.
Oh, Notre Dame.
Yeah,
they looked really bad, just like UConn did. Hey, Brian Hauser, thanks, man. Appreciate you tuning in. Not to change the subject, but has anyone watched Keone McMillan? No. Keone McMillan.
Is that the young girl from the USC?
I think that's the girl.
That's the freshman from USC.
Yeah, Brian, enlighten us. I'm not as familiar with her. I watch UCLA. Oh, no, you said from USC?
I don't know.
No, that's not the freshman at USC. I'm thinking she might play for another team, and I just haven't seen her play. At first, I was thinking UCLA, but she's not on UCLA.
She's from FSU, Paul? I'm not familiar with her.
FSU has somebody leading the country in scoring, but that's not her name.
No, from Rutgers.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's the first I've heard of her.
Well, that's going to be an interesting topic next week. We'll be able to recap that game and see just how it played out. But what I like too about nobody's running from nobody in the early season. There's been a ton of great women's games already. We started off with the Notre Dame at USC. That same weekend, UCLA beat South Carolina. We've seen Notre Dame play Texas. UConn just beat somebody good from they beat Louisville and somebody else. And now they got Notre Dame tonight. And then we got USC and USC and UConn coming up in 2 weeks. So
UConn beat North Carolina.
All right. Want to just tap on Greg's comment?
Where is it?
Yeah. Some people can respond to that. I wanted to see from his point of view how much pressure
Oh,
affects.
great point guard take pressure, including myself. I always wanted to do what I wanted to do, but great point guards also make the adjustments they need to counter that pressure.
That's
You got to
my
know
point.
how to play chess and love the pressure.
I've never seen Mr. Simpson look uncomfortable on the court, and I have a feeling I'm going to see that tonight with Miss Beckers. I think she'll do what she got to do, but can she make everybody else great? Is everybody else going to play good enough? If they don't convert their threes, if they don't finish off bunnies when she penetrates, the greatest assist don't matter if somebody else don't put the ball
The
in.
thing with that is, I think somebody said it earlier, is UConn got a bunch of players. So
They're a little deeper, yeah.
where I don't think that they just have to depend on just one person to bringing the ball up. They're gonna have help. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. We'll see. So who you got?
I'm going with UConn in a close one.
I'm gonna go with UConn by 10.
All right. Greg's picked
What?
Notre Dame. Paul Paris.
Oh, what you got?
B-Mag. What say you guys?
I got UConn by 10
Woof. At Notre Dame?
at Notre Dame.
With a healthy Notre. Have you seen Olivia Miles play? We talk about Hidalgo, but man, Miles is so strong and sees the court so well.
I got UConn by 10. I'm not changing that. Paula Paris got UConn.
Jonathan Nobre, who you got? Who you got tonight? You got UConn? I see it capitalized up there on the screen, so I'm assuming.
He's at UConn.
So,
History.
It matters.
History doesn't matter, bro.
Oh, we're gonna get to that too, Johnny.
What you got?
Real soon.
About
Wow, Paul agrees with Derek Kahn by 10. I don't feel that confident. So Greg's the only one that took Notre Dame.
Notre Dame really hasn't impressed me.
That was my preseason pick to win it all because of their three-headed
UConn
monster.
by 3 in OT.
Even without Ozzie Fudd, guys, that's huge, man. Like, I was so happy to see her back and paired up with Paige because
Next woman up. Next woman up.
yeah, but Ozzie Fudd, there's no Ozzie Fudd on that team. How aggravating is it that she gets hurt the game before that matchup?
I was at UConn, and we still got Gino, man. Gino's still.
Yeah, he's got the coaching advantage.
He's
been doing it.
Gino's still the man, bro.
He was doing it when it was against Muffin McGraw or whatever her name was.
Sarah Strong, baby. That's what I'm talking about. That's the reason why.
All right, well, that's going to be interesting. That game's tapping off right about now, so we'll be keeping tabs on it, during this last hour. But good luck to UConn, and I just hope we see a good game. We appreciate everybody's opinions. What do you want to go to next after the women's basketball?
Let's see.
I know there was some heavy-duty MLB stuff, and there was college football playoffs.
College football playoffs.
All right.
I think
that starts next week, right? The 18th is the first game.
that should be next week.
I think Indiana Notre Dame, right? Because that's the in-state rivalry.
Who you going with? I'm going with.
People are sleeping on
I'm
Indiana.
going with Indiana.
But
I
respect Notre Dame because don't they only have one loss?
Yeah,
They lost to a team.
NIU.
Right. But they slipped up because they had a big win the week before. But they beat everybody else on their schedule. So
Indiana beat everybody but Ohio State.
right, but they both have one loss. But I hear what you're saying. Indiana lost to a better quality team. But Notre Dame, I think, stubbed their toe because they were a victim of being overconfident. If they would have handled business, they would have been ranked number 2 right now. Because them in Oregon, because of their conference, I think had a tougher schedule and still came out.
So first game.
Oh, Jonathan got Notre Dame too. All right, that's 2.
No, he got Notre Dame in football. For football, not he picked for girls. He picked UConn.
Oh no, because right before it says ND is my team.
Yeah,
So I thought, all right.
But for the girls, he picked UConn. He's picking Notre Dame for this one right here.
Notre Dame against Indiana, I think is going to be real close.
The spread is 7.5.
And I think whoever wins that game is going to be somebody to be reckoned with. Who's favored by 7.5?
Notre Dame.
Oh, I'll take Indiana if I'm betting.
I'm taking Indiana straight up.
Indiana, their quarterback's not hurt, right? Yeah, but you take them straight up. So why wouldn't you take them?
No, I know.
Points?
I'm saying.
So I would definitely.
No brainer.
So that's one of the first games. The next game is like 2 days later or a day later. I think it's the 18th and the 20th.
Friday. No, the next game is the 21st. That's SMU.
Another
Penn
underrated team.
State.
Penn State didn't look
They
bad,
both have 2 losses.
but Penn State can't stop nobody. But
going-
Penn State can run.
I'm going with Penn State on that one. Just for the experience.
Did you get to see SMU play at all?
Yes, I do. I see them play
Who's the home team in that?
Penn State.
Oh, yeah. They might have a whiteout for that game. And you got to go to College Park.
That's
I don't think SMU's been to College Park.
No. That's a big stadium. And then we have Clemson versus Texas. We have Clemson versus Texas. Anybody want to call in?
You can now. I didn't have the phone plugged in.
It would still ring.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If you got
So why do we got to plug it in?
so that makes yeah.
Oh, okay. What's the next game? Because
Clemson at Texas.
I've heard a lot of people talk about they'll take Clemson. And I like Texas as being a finalist, even though they didn't look good in their last game against Georgia. I thought they just made a lot of mistakes, and their defense wasn't what I thought it was going to be. But I'm still riding with Texas.
Yeah.
But I saw a lot of professional analysts say not only take Clemson with the points, because is it 11 and a half? They were like, don't bet against Dabo Sweeney. They're saying that Dabo Sweeney's used to the big game pressure.
11.
Yep. So that's a big spread. I can't see them winning. I think Clemson will keep it somewhere around there, 10.
So you going with Clemson?
No. No, I'm just saying that's against the spread. We're talking about just to win. I'm taking Texas because it's in Texas. There she goes. We're waiting for you. You and Myrna.
So we go. Kyle's going with UConn.
Even without Ozzie Fudd.
I don't know. She's saying the game's going to come down to defense and containment.
Oh, yeah, because you got to contain 3 people on Notre Dame. But you just lost a big containment person for UConn. Their big 3 with Sarah Strong and the 2 guys would have been a good big 3 battle. But now it's a big 2.
What is Jonathan saying, man?
Texas, because Decon says history doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
That's tradition.
Like them guys that played for Notre Dame back in the day with
Jerome Bettis.
Jerome, he's not playing in this game.
His son. Oh no, his son's going in.
He's not playing in this game.
No, but
So that's history.
that's history. That's also means the same thing as tradition, right? You got that pride. You've been there before, but Texas is not somebody who doesn't have history
It's
either.
totally look.
Yeah,
FSU.
them guys.
FSU looked great back in when Charlie Wood and all that. What did they do this year? They shit the bed. So that history shit don't mean nothing, bro.
Different coaching.
It's
recruit different.
It's what you do in between the lines.
But you gotta recruit good, and I think
Yeah,
that's
of
the
course.
problem.
But
People
history-
that were when Bobby Bowden was there, he was able to recruit.
you can't.
That's
you can't-
history.
You can't.
Yeah, I agree, Jonathan. I know what you're saying. I said just in a sense of tradition, winning programs. But Texas has also got that same history and that same winning program.
Texas is a football state.
Unless he's talking about the Notre Dame game. Because we were talking about Notre Dame and Indiana, and he commented on that. Then we switched it up to Texas and
Yeah, but then you see that wise comment in Texas because Decon says.
Oh, that's right, that's right. So you got Texas in that game?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the next game after that?
Big one. That's a good one. Tennessee, Ohio State.
I saw an interesting stat on Tennessee today. They had never played at a Big Ten stadium before, but they play in the SEC. So I don't know how much that matters. But the difference is you don't got no cold weather games in the SEC either. So Tennessee's going to come up here, and it's going to be a little frosty. Yeah, sun's going down. It's probably going to be in the 30s by then.
Yeah.
So how does that affect? Because to me, that's like the Dolphins and the Chargers when they have to come out here and play in the cold. It's a different element when the people on that team have never, ever had any experience, playing in the cold, playing in the bad weather. It's not going to be 80 degrees everywhere like it is in the SEC. They've never had a snow game over there. So I'm going with Ohio State in that. That's in the horseshoe. 110,000 strong.
I like Tennessee's quarterback.
I do, but I think he's tapered off some. I think he started off great, and then his decision making lately,
He's a freshman.
I give him credit, but he started off gangbangers at the beginning. He couldn't make no mistakes, and they have the wide receiver there. Is their running back healthy? I thought they lost him for a little while. But if their running back's there, that gives a whole nother added dimension.
I'm going with
OSU. Thank you, Carla.
I'm going with Tennessee.
We have to get my man G-Con.
I think
He's
no.
getting a little,
I think
little delusional.
I think that Michigan game hurt a lot of the Ohio State players.
So you don't think they want to come back for pride? Because
I think
there was questions about calling for Ryan Day's job, and
I think their pride
106-10 or something like that.
I think their pride is gone.
No.
After that,
I think it hurts to lose a rivalry game, but now they want to show
when you were favored by 20
it's still a rivalry
at home.
When we play division. Brian says that all the time. When Dallas was up and Philly was up, it's still when you play the Washingtons, who are good now, but when they weren't good, that's the team that's played you the most. So they play you every year. They play you multiple times. They're not as intimidated like Tennessee, who's never played in the cold, come into the horseshoe in front of that crowd.
But think of it like this: you're Ohio State. You're at home. You're favored by 20 against a beat-up Michigan team, and you get beat at home.
Exactly. They're fighting for pride. Their pride took a hit in that Michigan game.
I don't. I'm gonna
Ryan
have
Day,
to. I'm
on a
gonna.
vote of confidence, and they're saying they're going to bring him back, no problem next year, whatever. But I think he feels he's still got something to prove. He's won. He's already won there, but it got tarnished last week.
And you don't think Tennessee's watching that tape?
They're watching the tape, but is Tennessee going to be able to? I still think the weather plays a factor in that game. That's the only reason.
Tennessee's better than Michigan.
They are, but they're not better in 30-degree weather. That's the only reason I'm saying that. If they were playing in a warm weather, neutral climate, I'd lean toward Tennessee. But Ohio State is still a great team. They can run the ball. They can pass the ball. They got a couple of nice defensive players that are going to be first-round draft picks. They got a nice offensive line. I'm going with Ohio State.
Who you going with, Jonathan? Charlie Perry's going with Texas. Who you going with in this game? The Tennessee, Charlie, if you're still here with us.
Right? We might have lost some people to the Notre Dame UConn game, but they got it on in the corner while they're listening to us. Was that the last of the first round games because the other two got buys? Or only 8 teams played.
There's four guys. There's 4 buys.
All right. You know what's crazy? Was it Oregon? They said was number 1, but had the hardest road to get to the championship.
Well, they did not.
It was somebody they said.
Georgia had the hottest road.
I just know they were talking about somebody had the hottest road.
Georgia's number 2. They had the hottest road. Georgia had that gauntlet. Remember we was talking about their schedule?
Okay, I just couldn't read. I was having a brain thought about who it was that had that hard schedule.
Yeah, I'll read off the schedule right now.
They're playing first round, aren't
Georgia. No, they got a bye.
Oh, that's
they're
right.
They're the number 2 seed. This is Georgia's schedule.
The winner of
Charlie, OSU in the blowout. Oh man, where's my book at, Charlie? Clemson, they were ranked.
Clemson has to win to play them.
No, I'm saying this is their schedule. This is what.
I thought you meant in the playoffs.
They played Clemson. They played Tennessee. Wait, no, I'm sorry. They played Clemson. They played Alabama.
Uh-oh. Really badly at the beginning of the game. I hate to say that evens it out, but I don't want to see somebody get hurt. And
Hey, if she don't come back, I say UConn by 15.
Mm-hmm.
So who else they played? They played Mississippi, who was ranked. They played
they were
Texas
good at the time.
Yeah.
Jackson Dot and them, yeah.
They played Texas. They played that Florida Georgia game is always a battle. That's like the rivalry. They played Ole Miss. They played Tennessee. They almost lost to Georgia Tech.
Rivalry game. That's another thing I say. When you're playing for pride and you're familiar, they play every year.
Yeah, they had the gauntlet. That's a tough schedule.
So nobody else has. Who does Oregon play if they win?
Who does Oregon play?
So Boise State has a bye too.
Yeah. Boise State plays. Say.
They're gonna play the winner of somebody because they're one of the four.
George. If I'm not mistaken, Oregon got a tough game the second.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I could have sworn Oregon had. How do you beat a number one seed but have the toughest road to get to the championship?
Yeah.
That's what I was saying. It's the playoff picture, not the regular season toughest
all
road.
right.
It's the playoff breakdown, just the teams in the 12. And I could have sworn they said Oregon's number one, but has the toughest road because I can't remember who they play if they win. I'd have to look it up.
I did see it. Why am I not? My God. I'm not going past this one. I can't find it, Steven.
Yeah, Johnny. Unfortunately, they didn't make the top 12, but Dion has confirmed that none of his players will sit out. And that's the one thing I like about the college format this year. Because if you weren't playing for the national championship, people were sitting out bowl games. Only 1 versus 2 were playing their starters. Now we'll see them all.
Oregon plays the winner of Ohio State and Tennessee.
Yeah, and right off the bat. Yeah. And then if they win that game,
and then they'll play the winner of Arizona State, either Texas or Clemson.
I think that'll be Texas, Arizona State, Texas. But I think, imagine if you have to go to Ohio State, then Texas, just to get to the championship. Those are 2 teams that could be playing for the championship. Those are 2 top 5 teams. So that's why I was saying they have the toughest road in the final 12.
Yeah, definitely.
But this is an experimental thing. It's the first year we're experiencing this. And I think it's good for football because of what I just mentioned. We're going to see the Stars play in the bowl games this year, at least until they lose.
But see,
this is
not because let's say Indiana upsets Notre Dame, then the winner of that Tennessee Ohio State game should go play Georgia. And then that
I don't think they reseed though.
See, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to figure out. If they would, because these are set on just off the seedings.
Yeah, I think that's just the way they did it. I agree, Jonathan. There's a lot of parity, but Oregon has shown that they're for real. They've won at home. They won on the road. But that game against Boise State makes me think, how good is Boise State? They won by 3 at Oregon.
They have a good running game. What? They won by 3 at Oregon.
Oregon won by 3 in Oregon against Boise State.
Really?
Yeah. I know Oregon beat them by 3 points. But I think the game was
that running game is tough, man.
Ashton Gentry, who we're going to get to in a second because the 4 finalists have been mentioned. But I want to get our picks for this playoff format. If you guys that are still with us can chime in on who do you think is going to win it all in this format.
Yeah. 37.
So you can't say they haven't played good teams because they hung with the number 1 team in the country. So that could be a dark horse. But who does Boise State play if they win? I think there's a lot of interest, like what Jonathan said about parity. I think that's a beautiful thing. It reminds me of the tournament, of the NCAA tournament.
Boise State plays the winner of Penn State SMU.
And that's a winnable game for them. Because Penn State can't stop the run. You don't want to play against the number 1 running back in the country. It was just a comment about they're playing a boxing 1 on Page Vegas. Yeah. And Cintron, she's a great defensive player, and she has size. she's bigger than most guards. She's a number 2, number 3. She can play small forward, and she always takes the other. She's the one that matched up with Juju, and then they had Hidalgo helping out. So, wow, it's hard enough to beat her, but I'm surprised Hidalgo's not on her just to be the pest. I guess they figure she can stay with her speed-wise, and she's bigger, make it hard to shoot over. She can shoot over a 5'6" girl. I think Paige Beckers is 6 feet. Thanks for the update, Greg, because it's killing me not watching it right now, man. Sounds like Georgia has the chops for it. I got Georgia. They're adaptive. I like everything about Georgia except Carson Beck has not lived up to his billing. He played better last year and the year before.
He's hurt.
Is he? Well, he's hurt now, but he wasn't hurt last week against Texas until he got hurt.
He got hurt.
But
this
whole year, he hasn't had a good year. He got hurt last week. I'll give him a pass on that. But Carson Beck had a better overall junior year than senior year. Georgia was in the championship 2-3 years in a row. His freshman, sophomore, junior year, he played better then. And now he's a senior, and it's like either people have figured him out or he's digressed. One or the
Could
other.
have went to his head too.
But you got weapons. They got Etienne at running back. They got, I forgot the wide receivers' names, but they don't got just one. They got 2 good wide receivers. One's a little better than the other. But Georgia's defense is still Georgia's defense, man. I think they got that kid, Michael Williams. They spell it M-Y-K-A-L, Mikel or Michael. He's a problem. But final picks, guys. You got Georgia, Jonathan? I'm sticking with Texas, who I picked the last time we were on. Decon, who you got? I want to say Oregon too, but that gauntlet's hard to win all those games in a row.
Who I got to win the whole thing?
To win the whole thing.
I got Oregon.
Okay, so you're sticking with Oregon through that gauntlet.
Yeah.
All right, we got a Georgia, we got an Oregon. I'm staying Texas, but I'm going to say Boise State wins at least one game. Whoever comes out of that Penn State game, I think is going to have a serious problem with Boise State because that'll be at Boise State too on that blue field. Unless when you advance, they go to neutral. I don't think they go to neutral until Final Four.
I'm not positive on that, but that would be stupid to
But
have these guys that are going to buy when they have a little bit of an advantage.
yeah,
They earn that buy.
but while we're on the topic of college football, they announced the 4 finalists, and there's one big omission, in my opinion. I don't know if they only announced 4 or they announced how many's worthy.
They just announced 4.
Okay, so the people were Ashton Gentry, the running back from Boise State,
Yep.
Travis Hunter from Colorado, Dylan Gabriel, the quarterback of Oregon, and Cam Ward, the quarterback of Miami. Who's missing from that list in your opinion?
Who's missing? And you're going to go 4, but
Yeah,
the kid from Colorado.
Shedeur Stevens.
Yeah, but
He actually has more passing yards.
all right, but
He's not playing the same schedule.
and who's been number 1?
Number 3 and number 1, and Oregon did it in the Big 12 conference.
And they beat Ohio State and they won the
And that was going to be my saying the only
So-
reason. But I still think he should have been invited. 3,800 yards. You have more yards. You have more touchdowns, but you also got the more losses.
invited over who?
No, I think they should have been 5.
Nah,
I
there's
don't
only,
think should
they only
be 4.
they only do 4 all the time.
So
They've been the tradition is only 4.
because of being number 1, Dylan Gabriel has the nod in your opinion over Shedeur.
Yeah.
Okay. So today, the Associated Press came out and announced Travis Hunter as their pick for Player of the Year.
He should be playing again.
Right, but there's controversy on who's going to win the Heisman. This is what I'm saying. So I'm saying one group has already made their choice.
Yeah.
I thought, for what we were just talking about, that because Shedeur and Travis might both be up there, that one would take away from the other. So this might be a blessing to push Travis Hunter's hopes because Shedeur would have taken some votes away from his teammate and vice versa. And then I think Gentry would have won it. Yeah. The two-way thing to me, Jonathan, is incredible. You know, I've seen other people dabble with it, but I haven't seen two people be All-American on both offense and defense in the same year.
The guy never comes off the field.
No. And how he didn't get Defensive Back of the Year award, I don't know.
The
They
guy
gave it to somebody else.
The guy never comes.
They don't
off
even
the
throw
field.
at him.
And, yeah, he locks down.
And
one
when
whole
they
side.
do, there's a problem. But your interceptions are down because you're not getting as many
you don't
opportunities.
get. Yeah, you don't get.
defend.
Yes. So
Yes, Charlie, he will be. And it's the Raiders saying not only would they take him, they'll allow him to play two ways. Maybe not heavy, maybe not every play, but in certain packages, he'll play defense.
If I'm the Raiders, I think I go with a quarterback.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Shador Stevens was the one they said would go number one.
Well,
Right.
if,
I
if
knew it was
it's the
Colorado
Raiders,
pick. Yeah.
if it's the Raiders,
No, well, the Raiders right now because Jacksonville lost out by beating Tennessee last week. So now it's the Raiders, Carolina, and then Jacksonville. And Carolina don't need a quarterback. But actually, I think Jacksonville has the second, and they don't need a quarterback.
yeah, neither one of them.
Carolina, Bryce Young has kind of redeemed himself.
Yeah.
Once he got back in the starting.
They should have won.
So just to put this argument to rest, you're going with who for the Heisman?
Travis.
For the same argument we just made about why Shador is not in the top four, because Boise State played Oregon, but outside of that, I haven't
Travis doesn't
seen him run wild against everybody, against other good top defenses.
Don't get me wrong. Hey, the guy he at one
But
point
that two-way is a
at one
kill.
point he was on pace to break a pretty much almost an unbreakable record.
Yeah.
He was
And
on
it's
pace.
not like the NFL where there's extra games now. Like when Barry Sanders played, it was a 14-game season. Then it went to 16. Now it's at 17. And they're talking about
Barry played 16 games.
not his whole career.
No.
I think it went to 16 maybe after his second or third year or something like that. I mean, who knows? That's just what I remember off the top of my head. But
Raiders will try to lock who down? Shador?
no, yeah, Shador, yeah.
They need a quarterback.
And he gives them the scrambling. You know, he's got to have more weapons than he had at.
The only thing if the Raiders need to pull a Chicago Bears.
Trade the number one.
Trade
pick
the number
and get
one.
twos.
Trade the number one.
Does anybody have two picks in the top in its first round?
This is my thing. Trade the number one with either Jacksonville or Carolina or whatever.
Jacksonville's not taking a quarterback.
That's my point exactly.
They're only one spot behind. If Raiders going to,
So, but this is my thing. Now Jacksonville's one behind. Carolina is two behind. All right, Carolina, I'll give you this pick for this year. We'll switch this pick, and you give me next year's number one. That's what the Bears did to Carolina.
but they got two. Oh no, they had their own pick and they had that.
Yes. So now next year the Bears will have two picks in the first. I mean, the Raiders will have two. If they do something like this, they'll have two picks.
You know, Jacksonville has no interest in Shador, so they might go after Travis Hunter.
That's what I'm saying. But the Raiders don't. The
Raiders would have to
want a
trade
quarterback.
with Carolina or somebody else that wants to take Travis Hunter.
That's what I'm saying. And then next year you'll get two first round.
Well, there's going to be a lot of lying going on, a lot of political stuff going on there. That's when the best liars come out because people will be bluffing their ass off, and you know.
That's my point. Neither of them teams need a quarterback. The Raiders want a quarterback, so Raiders can trade that pick and then get two picks, two number one
And
picks
still get there
next year,
and still get
their quarterback.
And Jacksonville stays at 2. If the team comes up and takes Travis Hunter, and then Jacksonville's not going to take Shador, and then at number 3, it depends who's number 3 or number 4.
Away and get what you
Oh yeah,
want.
that's a good point. That's a possibility.
And then next year you have two number one picks instead of one.
I think it's going to eventually work for Chicago like that because they sure the hell fleeced
They did
Carolina.
They did. Chicago did it last year when they picked up Dummy with the fingernails.
Yeah,
And-
Caleb Williams and Roma Dunze.
Yeah. So
That's a possibility.
that would be a smart move. But we'll see.
All right. So I'm going to go with Travis Hunter because I am totally blown
Of course they
away
know.
by somebody that's dominating on both sides of the ball for every play. I've never seen that type of stamina and domination on both sides of the football.
4 weeks left, Jonathan. Of course, it's not. The draft isn't set in stone as of
No,
yet.
they got four
There's
weeks of
left.
games to play this week and 3 more. So,
We'll see
and
what
I don't
happens.
think, the old adage, people say they're tanking. The coaches and the players don't look at it like that. That has to come from above, and that's caused problems. Who was the black coach that did that, and they won? They won the last game, and it gave up there, and then he got fired anyway.
Miami.
Was it Carolina? No, it was the Texans.
Yeah,
It was the
2
Texans.
years ago, or something like that.
And they lost out, and they ended up with C.J. Stroud anyway. The coach was told, he was like, no, I'm coaching for, job interviews. The players don't want to lose. They're playing for jobs and trying to get free agent contracts. So they ended up winning the game. Was it Romeo Crennel that did that, or was it somebody else? I know it was a black coach. But, all right, so we've got our picks on the college football playoff.
Charlie's crazy.
We've got our predictions on the Heisman. One other small story that's not so small, but I just want to mention it. What do we think about Belichick going to the college ranks to UNC, and why do you think he did it?
My opinion, why he did it.
I think there's a couple, so I want to see.
This is my opinion. He did it is because he's trying to get his son's foot in the door,
That's one of them.
and because he's not a college coach.
Nope. But the other reason is just what you said. He thinks the NFL has quit on him, and he's done with the NFL. He wanted that coaching record, but you know why the NFL quit on him? Because nobody was willing to give him complete control. We're watching that play out in Dallas right now. That was his downfall in New England. One person shouldn't have told. There needs to be people getting paid. You got your owner, you got your president, you got your general manager. The general manager,
Let him general manager do it.
that's what a general manager is supposed to do. So you got to have somebody. But Bill Belichick, I thought, failed as being the GM part of the coaching. And because he couldn't get the players after Brady left that he wanted, and he wasn't a good drafter,
He drafted all defense.
because that's what he knows. And when he did try to bring in offense, the wide receiver from Arizona State, he didn't work out.
No,
They can't evaluate offense. So Brian also brought up a third point because UNC just got a big contributor to their NIL deals.
yeah.
Let's see who went to UNC.
Mike.
Might have a lot. Of, Mike who? Mike Williams. That number 23 guy. Big news. Michael Jordan has struck a deal with his alma mater to pour a lot of money into that NIL situation, and I think it was affected by a recent college decision too.
Do you think that NIL just goes for basketball, or do you think it's going to all sports?
All sports. Because right now it's real prevalent in football. They're getting the bigger deals. But didn't we just see a local kid choose his college based on NIL?
The Mormon state.
And
He went to the Mormons.
and I don't know how he could have chose that for religious reasons. I'm pretty sure he wasn't Mormon when he was out here in Brockton, or he went to Utah to prep school.
So maybe that.
But
Maybe being in Utah killed him off.
when was the top pick in the country decide to go to a non-top 25 team to play ball?
$7 million.
Which is because of the NIL.
Yep.
They had money. You know why they got money? Because they've never had to pay another athlete in the NIL. I mean, the NIL is only 2 years old, but they don't have another athlete. So they're going for the gusto. He'll be the trophy piece for BYU. No matter where he went, he was going to play.
He's only going to have 1 year. Yeah.
But he was supposedly linked to North Carolina as his number one choice. Well, since when does North Carolina and Kansas lose out to BYU? When the NIL deal is $7 million, he might want to stay more than 1 year, because I can't remember how the rookie contracts go for the NBA, but I think they're structured similar to the NFL. Like, they don't get huge contracts right off the bat. Do rookies make more than $7 million in their first year? He holds out 1 more year. He makes another $7 million for 2 years. And maybe when he comes out after his sophomore year, the rookie pay scale is $10 to $12 million for a rookie. So unless he was to get hurt, but I also hear good things about his father being a good businessman, and his father definitely coerced his decision. I saw the interview. His father's very well spoken.
What about lottery picks? Lottery picks get
The
big
lottery
money?
picks are slotted for how much money, right? 1 to 14. There's already wherever you get picked in the draft, that's predetermined.
Yeah.
So that's similar to football. But I don't know how high it is. Like if you're the top pick overall, does that mean more than $7 million your first year? You know?
Yeah. I'm not sure on that either.
All right, but I got an interesting tidbit I want to bring up. This year's crop of freshmen, the top 3 players in the land, right? Cooper Flagg, 2.7 million. Dylan Hopper, Rutgers, 1.6 million. And his teammate, Ace Bailey, 1.6 million. The highest freshman NIL deals to come out this year. You add those all up, 5.9. AJ comes in, one person, and he beats it by over $1 million for just him. And these other guys are going to be 1, 2, and 3 in the draft this year. They're saying AJ, unless some unforeseen, I don't know if there's somebody overseas or somebody we don't know, but right now, just like Flagg, he's the odds-on favorite to be number 1 as long as he doesn't get hurt. And now he's going to be able to show more. I don't think they're going to win a lot. His games are going to be on TV. That's going to bring in TV money. But who they putting around him? I don't see BYU being a great team. But remember, there was a wise guy about a month ago that talked about Dylan Hopper and Ace Bailey and said how they were going to make Rutgers rise. They got decent NIL deals, but there's 2 guys on the same team. Now they're a top 25 team. I remember I was arguing with Paul Miranda about that. I don't think he knew how good these 2 guys were. But if you watched the highlights of either one of these 2, they're saying Dylan Hopper might be overtaking Cooper as the number 1 pick. But I say it depends on what team need is. If somebody needs a point guard or an off guard, yeah. But if you need a 3 or 4 guy that can probably play the 2 as well because his handle's pretty good, you're going to take. But I think he's closing the gap as far as it's not as unanimous. We know that Flagg's gotten a lot of the well-deserved attention, but he's a bigger talent. Usually, that would be the deciding factor. If I got a 6'7", 6'8" guy who can do everything the 6'3", 6'4" guy can do, then I might as well take him. He's a good athlete. He's a great athlete, but he can also change the game in more ways because he can block shots. He's a good passer. He's a good rebounder, and he can score. Dylan Hopper is a dynamic athlete who can score. I don't think he affects the game as much on defense because he's not going to be a shot blocker. He might put pressure on the ball handler a little bit, but he doesn't rebound and shot block like Flagg. So, but those 3 will definitely be, but these 2 guys, number 2 and number 3, are going to bring Rutgers, my guess, into the top 15 this year as freshmen because there's 2 NIL players on that team. With AJ, there's only going to be 1 unless maybe he's got something up his sleeve where another guy he played the AAU with or something like that decides to follow him there, like these 2 made a pact to play together. That would be something because now he gets paid, and that could be part of why they paid him. Hey, if you get so-and-so here, then we can get $3 million. All right, what did Charlie say? Oh, he's talking about Belichick.
Oh, we're off this. I thought he was talking about college basketball.
Charlie's a little slow. He's sitting home. It's almost his bedtime. He's just catching up on the comments. He didn't have his glasses on, so he couldn't read as fast.
He's still worried about getting Kachuk.
Yeah.
For Travis.
Yeah. Come on, catch up, Charlie Perry.
Shafford, Bill. My God.
All right, so last question on this. Do we think the NIL, we talked about it before, but I want to bring it up again. Is the NIL headed in a bad place or a good place? Because I'm all for people getting paid, but they're not going to the traditional powers. They're deciding where the money's at. So now it's become a business decision in college.
Yo, Charlie, man. They're throwing a lot of hate over here, Charlie.
Yeah.
I'm not even putting that up.
I see it. They're 38 and 31, Charlie. So, one's already got 2. The other one, right now, she's not interested in that. But I would actually hope that.
He's talking to you on that?
Yeah.
I hope so, because mine is only 7.
Yeah, well, yeah, that would be kind of a modern day miracle. But he's talking.
Oh man,
What the hell's that? LMAI. You can't even.
that's that Belichick laugh.
Yeah, Oh, there you go. All right. I think I'm gonna have to check with Michelle. I think Charlie got something in the coffee. She snuck him a little brandy to put him out earlier because he's probably annoying her. Right now she's trying to rest, and Charlie got the game extra loud because his hearing's going. So got that UConn game on full blast, keeping everybody in the house awake.
What's the score, Charlie?
Yeah, we only saw the update at the end of the second quarter, but interesting tidbit in that NIL stuff. Top schools with NIL money.
UConn's is 27.
Okay. Texas, 22.2 million at number one, has the most. All them oil people in Texas, right? Yeah. Ohio State, 20.2. LSU, 20.1. Georgia, 18.3. Texas A&M, 17.3. And then Michigan. It sounds like all football teams. Yeah. Why? Why do you think the football teams got? It's an obvious reason. Why do they got all the money? Because they get 100,000 people at their games. In college can only put 15. Yeah. So Paul Parrish sent some information out earlier today. I had it on my phone about how much. I'm sorry. Oh, my wife and my girlfriend. Well, we all live together. We're Mormon now.
He's going to BYU.
I jumped on to be. They offered me more money. We're going to be a Mormon station next week. So, now I can afford my girl, and I'm allowed to have multiple wives. But I wonder if the basketball schools will catch up. But it's going to be hard because when Paul put out the comment, a lot of these schools were bringing in over $250 million a year in revenue generated just from football. Never mind the other athletics.
Yeah.
You add basketball, but obviously football is going to be the biggest draw because they have the potential. When you got 100,000 people going to your game, as we found out trying to go get tickets to women's UConn and Notre Dame and USC, they were like professional prices. That was like Caitlin Clark when she came to Connecticut. The tickets are $400 and $500. That's how much these college tickets are. Can you imagine?
That's what they want.
People paying $10,000 for front row for the big college games.
That's what they're asking for and change for the.
Yeah, I thought 100, 150. Hey, let's go. Let's get a group. Yeah. But I couldn't see a college game charging that much money because if we're gonna go, I want to sit in decent seats. Yeah. If we're going to sit way up in the bleachers, I'd rather watch it at home. On TV. Yeah. I've been to concerts like that. Not that I bought those tickets, but they've been Christmas gifts and, donated. And I'm like, I'll go for free. And then I'm watching everything on the big screen right next to me. Let's see. Jonathan Novi, how did the coach kids? Maybe it was famine. Now there's an overabundance, a feasting. Yeah, but now I don't think the basketball powers are going to be able to maintain, unless they get their NI deals up. These smaller schools are even in the playing field by just having a bigger bag. And if they don't have as many players to pay out NIL deals to, they can load up on one player like they just did. Okay, we would have gotten 2 players or maybe 3 for $7 million. BYU's like, we just want to be relevant because that'll help them recruit down the line.
But they had to offer him something to do with that. If not, he was going somewhere else.
Yes. And I thought he was supposed to make his decision in January. And then I saw 2 days ago or 3 days ago, the decision said is imminent within 1 day. And it was a very good sports reporter that said, but it was a college sports guy. I'm trying to remember who covers college sports. But they said the number one prospect will be announcing his decision within the next 3 days. And the very next day, yesterday, they announced that he's going to BYU. And I was caught off guard. Use our stipends to buy tickets. Yeah, we're gonna look.
Hey, why don't you do a couple of details for us and get us tickets?
Yeah, not to mention the transfer portal. That makes it way too easy. But I always agree that the coaches could up and leave and break a contract, and everybody, the players that recruited them couldn't. So even if the coaches could do it, then the players can do it. The only way you're going to control that is you make the rules even, which they just did. So everybody's criticizing the players.
Yeah,
But the coaches have been doing it.
This transfer portal is crazy, though.
Yeah, this guy's playing for different teams every
It's
year.
nuts.
You know?
It's nuts.
So right now, I think the college football is getting the majority of the money because they generate the majority of the money. So those deals will tend to be a little bigger. But this is the biggest we've seen in basketball. $7 million. You had to wait till you got to the pros to make $7 million.
Yep.
And now that makes me feel like what I'm hoping to say is maybe some people like AJ won't be so quick to jump because if they can stay in school another year, that's why there's no going hardship in women's basketball. So Juju and all them, Paige Beckers and them got a deal right now. They're all signed to their own apparel deal where you order their school apparel and it's got all the types. It's got Juju, it's got Paige Beckers, it's an NIL deal for authentic apparel. So everything comes. I met him at fundraiser, and he told last August. Really? Did he say why? Like I can't imagine why he would say it that long ago, unless the money was already on the table. But I know he went to prep school out there. Maybe he just fell in love with the environment. And BYU's coach, is it Kevin James? I'm trying to think who's his name, but he's a prominent coach now. Somebody went to BYU recently, and they said that a lot of players like him. Oh, no doubt he's a great kid, but I just couldn't see somebody of that talent deciding to go to a non-power school when all the exposure is, somewhere else. But how ironic. He could be a great kid, and he said he was going to BYU, but he must have known something about that money that was going to be offered. They're just never no other recruit in the last 10 years has had BYU on the list.
Not for nothing. If he's saying that in the summer, that $7 million might have been just to sweep up the pot for it.
Yeah, I think they might have offered him $3 million back then, and it wasn't enough to go play for a team that doesn't get the exposure. Because all college, that's still a year away. They'll redo the schedule, just like Colorado was on college football every week, no matter what. Why? Because everybody wanted to see what Travis Hunter should do, and they wanted to see Coach Fine-Time. So, I just hope that kids, it doesn't water down the sport, because now I'm wondering, there's got to be a lot of deep pockets in places like Princeton and Harvard. They've gotten academic requirements, but will people soften their stance like Duke did with the one and done? Remember, Duke was one of the teams that when Krzyzewski was there, I'm not doing that one and done. He criticized Kentucky for doing it so much, but he was like, we're here, to get an education. The thought of going to a school for an education is now totally out the window. That's what I mean. If you're smart enough to take $7 million, why do you need an academic education? You're already set for life. That's generational money. But now people aren't going to college for academics anymore. That should be, they're taking the student athlete, they're taking the student part out of student athlete. Because nobody's going to school to be a student no more. Everybody's already saying up front 1 year.
It was about the coach and what he did for Durant.
Yes, I heard that.
Of course, almost $10 million NIL and be at the level of the
Yeah, but I'm just wondering. I heard the Durant story, so yes. But I don't know if it was anywhere near $7 million then, because when he signed, I heard it was $6 million, and then today, Brian posted that the offer was actually $7 million. So I don't know if it went up from $6 million to $7 million, or if $7 million was on the table for a while. But I think he had some substantial offer on the table, because the next two biggest guys, Cooper Flagg only was at 2.7. We'll give you more than Cooper Flagg. Well, Cooper Flagg was the highest paid college player in the NIL deal right now, and they said, we'll give you $4 million. That was still substantial money. But then
what's Shador got?
But Shador's in football. I'm saying in basketball.
Oh, just in basketball.
Yeah, just in basketball. Shador's getting 8.6 because he has multiple NIL deals. BYU said he's getting $7 million, but we don't even know who the hell is going to be putting up the money for that. Is that from alumni? Is that from Nike? But this is why I say I think Jordan jumped in at North Carolina. Do you don't think that timing seems a little funny? That Jordan probably thought NC was going to get AJ because rumor was that was his top choice. They lost out because the money wasn't as good as BYU's. Michael Jordan just mysteriously steps in the last 2 days and says he's now going to provide NIL money, which means there's also going to be Nike money, because Michael's going to do his own, and he's going to have the Jordan brand, and Nike's probably going to give money, maybe clothing.
North Carolina's Jordan school.
Yeah.
So I don't think Nike would mess with it.
No, but Nike was already. They didn't have. I don't think they have a Jordan brand sneaker contract. I think they have. Not Nike. It's Jordan brand.
Jordan brand. No Carolina Jordan brand.
But Michael does business with Nike. I can see Nike saying, "We'll sponsor the clothing, and you sponsor the sneakers." But together, they'll be able to sweeten the deal. Mike will put up so much money, but I wouldn't be surprised if Nike also, in some way, offers some money toward the NIL because they're working with Mike. That's a partnership. So I don't think he'd be offended if Nike was going to give some money too. He goes to Phil Nike, hey man, we need to get. But then again, Phil Nike's associated with it. Oregon's not. So, hey, we thought BYU wasn't a big player, so why can't Oregon do the same thing? But all right, we'll see what happens. That's going to be interesting to see. But one last thing I wanted to talk about: Major League Baseball has done a lot of movement since the last time we've been on. It started off with Juan Soto. Do you think that's the right move for him? And if you saw his interview today, you'd have a little more.
I didn't see it.
Okay.
I think obviously he went for the money, obviously.
Kind of.
Because if I'm not mistaken,
but they said at the end the deals are only $5 million a pop, something like
the
that.
Yankees offered him $625 for 18. I think
it was less money. Yeah.
$625.
There was 1 year less, but the money was $5 million more, so it averaged out to more money per year. $51 million a year was what it comes out to for the Mets. But there's no salary cap in baseball.
Why not?
He said he went to go meet at Cohen's house, and he had a $1 million statue artwork on the front lawn. Not to mention with the rest of the Cohen has deep pockets with the casinos and some of the other business ventures. When you have unlimited potential, so they said, yeah, we signed Juan Soto. So what? Who's the next big free agent we need? Now they're looking for a first baseman. They want to sign Alonso again, but they're also looking for another top. They're going to compete with the Red Sox for Corbin Burns. And I think there's one other pitcher that's still out there that they're interested in. But he's not done spending. But
what about this guy from Japan?
That's the other person. But they have to post blind bids. Like when you post, I don't know what you're offering.
Yeah.
I don't like that, man. Like, tell me what the highest deal is and let me know. And I think that might be to prevent people from, like Cohen, from just saying, I'll wait and I'll hold my cards until the last 5 minutes of the meeting. $400 million is the best offer. $450. And, but he had his interview and he said the Yankees didn't value his family as much as he did. There was a big debate about the luxury suite that the Yankees would not include because they didn't do it for their past stars. They didn't do it for A-Rod. They didn't do it for Jeter. They didn't do it for Derek, who is another big player besides a recent player though. But they didn't do it from none of their more recent stars. They didn't do it for Aaron Judge, who's on the team right now. So they thought it would send the wrong message to not only current but past Yankee legends because they asked for it. And what it was a 15 to 20 person suite, all expenses paid. So friends and family can always come and watch and play. So Cohen said, no problem.
The money that you're getting,
I agree. But he was in a position of power. If the money's the same for all intents and purposes, that was a deal breaker. That was what made him go cross town. Now, they also asked him, so have you talked to your former teammates about the deal? When was the last time you talked to him? He goes, they're not my teammates no more. I haven't talked to him since the playoffs. There's nothing to talk about. I'm a Met now. It made me feel like there was a little animosity because when you listen to him talk, and I want you to YouTube it, so then you understand he was emotional because his family's so important to him. And he didn't want what was best for just him. He wanted what was best for his whole family, like they were a package deal. And that's why that suite was such a big deal because he doesn't want, it's his money. He could have bought it, but the Mets made it seem like we'll do whatever it takes to get you here. And Cohen's wife was meeting with his family to see what they wanted while Cohen himself met with the player. He had a whole team strategy of not catering just toward the player. The other parts of the organization were like, what does the family need to feel comfortable? Because he wants to move his family was renting in New York because they didn't live in New York this year because he was only there for 1 year because he had 1 year left on his contract. The curse of Big Poppy continues.
Didn't they lose out on one? Didn't the Red Sox lose out on one of the big pitchers?
Yes, but I'm happy with what they did.
Yeah.
They lost out on Max Fried.
Yeah.
Now, when we didn't get Soto, I wasn't unhappy about that because with that money, we can get 2 top of the line pitchers.
And they traded for one.
And that's what I'm saying. Now,
But do you think they gave up too much?
no, they gave up a lot. 4
Yeah.
of their top prospects in their
They
organization.
put them in the top 5.
Yes, and our lowest one was 14. It was 4, 7, 11, and 15. But the biggest one was a catcher. So they get that had to be on the table. They wanted that catcher because Chicago, they're dumping all their talent because they don't have enough talent to win now. Lewis Roberts is next to go. They're going to trade him off too because they're going to get 4 and 5 top-rated picks from whoever they sell him to. So they're going to go the trade route. That's why at the trade deadline last year, everybody wanted the pitcher that Red Sox just got from Chicago. Okay.
They should have thrown Schuster too, just so that he could be home.
Yeah, well, that was up to them. Jeff Cook.
That's my guy. He's crazy. I refuse to sign it, Jeff, because I don't want nothing to do with that.
And I heard they had a major welding sponsor, but I don't want to mention no names because they don't sponsor our show or nothing. But
he asked me how much.
Hey, I'll get in touch with him tomorrow. You call him tonight over that beer watching the game, and I'll follow it up tomorrow. And we'll have the show sponsored by a certain welding company. That's we appreciate where I work, and I always look forward to seeing him and his dad when we have our meetings twice a year. So thanks for tuning in.
He's a good guy. That's my buddy.
And hope all well's with Dad too. I know he had a little bit of a struggle lately. I hope things have gotten better with him because they're both good people. But what we were talking about, Crochet, the pitcher they got from Chicago, had some of the best stats for a number 1 pitcher. But when your team is 40 and 122, and he's under team control for another 2 years, and he's only 23 years old. So Max Fried just got $218 million for 8 years guaranteed. We don't know how well he's going to. He's a great pitcher, and they're both lefties. So Max Fried was considered the best lefty on the market, and Zach Crochet was considered the second best. But he was the rate. I was pissed when we lost Max Fried, but I forgot about Crochet. So when they announced that they got him, yeah, it hurt to give up 4 prospects. But this kid's 23. We got a 2-year test window with him before he gets big money. That's a great deal. Yeah, well, that would have been a nice sentimental story.
He can come home, man.
Yeah, but that day might come. But
they probably see something in him.
But now they're also going after Corbin Burns, who was the big fish I wanted because he's the righty pitcher. So you got a righty and a lefty. They lost their number 1, Zach Pavetta. He's in free agency right now, but we don't know. He might come back. But Houck had a decent year, and Brian Bello had a decent year. If you get Corbin Burns, those guys that were number 2 and number 3 pitchers now slide down to be number 4 and number 5 pitchers. So you're not going up against some of the more power. You're not going up against people's second or third option. Now you got Crochet, who's going to be the number 1. Then him and Burns would be 1 and 1A. But Crochet will have better offense behind him, even though the Red Sox lost Tyler O'Neill. They got to get Burns, but San Fran's making a big push because they lost out on Soto and they lost one of their pitchers that went to the Dodgers. So we're going to be fighting it out with San Francisco and Snell. And I don't know. Sometimes Boston made a great trade, but it didn't cost them no money. But Boston's track record the last couple of years: let Mookie Betts walk, let Bogarts walk, let J.D. Martinez walk. Let Nathan Eovaldi walk. And now Pavetta, who's not, but everybody that's worth keeping, when it comes time to negotiate, we're letting people walk. That Mookie Betts deal seems like it would have been a bargain. It was $400 million or something, and you got Ohtani making $7 million. And so you're going to tell me Juan Soto is that much better? The only advantage he has is he's younger. Mookie Betts is a better all-around player in my mind. He can play more positions. He's a way better defensive player. He can run on the bases. He stays out of trouble. The only difference is age. I don't know how old Mookie is, but I would have kept Mookie at that time because we didn't get a haul for him. The people we got aren't even with the organization no more. We traded, what's his name, the number 1 player to the Yankees. So if we get Corbin Burns, Alex Verdugo. So if we get if we get Burns and then we have Crochet 1-2, we still need a power hitter. But I don't think the Red Sox are going to want to spend the money. They might be blowing smoke. They'll throw an offer out there. I heard the last offer was $300 million for Burns, and I'm thinking somebody else made this remark, but I'm thinking this is where it's going now. They know somebody's offering more than that, so they know they can offer 300 to look good. But they're not going to match the 330 or 350. Somebody else like San Fran might swoop in and get them. So if they can get them for $3 million, they better stand up on their word, because when they didn't make moves, all we did was lose people the last 3 or 4 years. We didn't add nobody. But you know what they added to? The price of tickets. They had a better than average year last year. But their ticket prices were like top 5 in baseball, and they weren't a top 5 baseball team.
That's why Charlie Perry went to the Dodgers.
Yeah, Charlie Perry, man, he got off that bandwagon. He said, "I'm not paying $30 for a beer and a slice of pizza, $20." That's what these prices are. $50 the pot.
Mookie Betts is 32.
Oh, okay, but 32 and Juan Soto's 26.
Yeah,
But we would have had him 2 years already, and we would have had another $360 million to go get somebody else right now. But how good would Boston be if we would have kept him? Now, if we want to keep it to the Red Sox, if we get Burns, that's a great start. But you know whose names I keep hearing that I really don't want them to be a priority? I'd rather go after Burns. Nolan Ariendo and somebody else, but he plays third, and they're talking about maybe move him to first.
You got a third baseman, right?
Yeah, but they wanted him and they wanted Bregman. They're both third basemen. Are you going to move either one? Because you're not moving. I mean, Devers isn't the greatest fielder.
But he's not having first.
Maybe because less chance to make errors. I don't know. Why would you go after two people that you already paid the one guy you kept? Unless you're going to put him at DH. Bregman's getting up there in age, but he's probably a better fielder. Or do you move Devers to DH more often and let Bregman play the field?
Here's the question: what do we do with Story? He's getting paid. He's getting paid nothing.
We don't have a everyday shortstop yet. So Story will be given the chance until he pulls. Who was the second baseman that played with Movas? Dustin Pedroia. Until he gets hurt. He gets hurt. 3 weeks into the season and sits out the rest of the year for top dollar again.
Did we get everything that Story?
Pee Wee.
Yeah. Big Papi played with Dustin Pedroia for I think they said 9 years, and for 9 years he's always thought Dustin Pedroia's name was Pee Wee. So I forget. I think they said they were playing against Minnesota. The catcher from Minnesota said, "What's up, Dustin?" So Big Papi comes over. What do he call you? What do he call you? He's looking at Big Papi. He says, "Call me Dustin." He's like, "Why do he call you that?" He goes, "That's my name." He goes, "Your parents named you Dustin?" Or something like that. He goes,
You couldn't figure out Petey was short for Pedroia? Like,
not Pee Wee. He was calling him Pee Wee.
Oh, Pee Wee.
Pee Wee. And then he goes, "Can you believe this, dude? Yo, they announced my name at 9,000 times a year, and I bet
Right before you come on
him.
You're in the on deck circle."
That's crazy.
So Jonathan Noby, $50 for hot dog water, pretty much. I've heard.
Bogarts.
Yeah, I would have kept Bogarts. Bogarts had a quietly good year for the Giants last year.
I would have kept. I think Bogarts is better than Story, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But actually, when Story came
I'm frustrated with we got so much homegrown talent that we're not keeping. We had Bogarts come up to our system. We had Betts come up to our system. And
Story's like
we didn't reward none of them. And where's the guys we got for Mookie Betts? And how much money did he want way back when? Half the money that just got paid out.
Yo, not only that. Think about it. If you kept Mookie Betts, right? And we're talking about we don't have a shortstop. That dude played shortstop for the Dodgers.
Yeah.
He was a second baseman coming out.
I want to see if I can find something here because I could have sworn that I had a list of the top free agents that are out there. There's an outfielder. Oh, for first base, they were talking about Tyler Walker. I don't know a lot about him, but he had a good year for who was? Oh, here it is right here. Here's the list. Corbin Burns is the number one free agent that's out there. Anthony Santana is available from Baltimore. Hey, they took Tyler O'Neill away from us. We can go after Santander. Number 3 prospect is Sasaki, but the Red Sox have been linked to Alex Bregman. Pete Alonso's out there. We still need a first baseman. Christian Walker is the guy that I wanted to go after, and he played for Arizona. Max Fried was after. Oh, the other guy related to the Red Sox, I wouldn't mind that. Teoscar Hernandez. He got traded to the Dodgers last year, but he only had 1 year left on his contract. So he went from the Blue Jays.
That won the home run.
Yeah, but the Blue Jays traded him right before his last year of his contract because he wasn't going to re-sign in Toronto. So he went to the Dodgers and he had a good year. I wouldn't mind seeing him in the outfield. Jack Flaherty and Tanner Scott are pitchers. But I kept hearing Bregman and Nolan Ariando's name linked to the Red Sox, and I was like, well. But before we get out of here, who would you like to see the Red Sox go after? Is Burns somebody high on your list, or do you want offense?
They need pitching.
We didn't spend no money getting Crochet, and that's huge.
Yeah.
So I think you need to get another frontline starter, and you need somebody to fill in the hole that Tyler O'Neill just created. I'd like to go after Walker for first base and Burns, and I think, or if we get Burns, we put Teoscar in the outfield.
Yeah.
And our offense and defense got better because we're going to combine Burns with Crochet.
Hernandez, he was an all-star, so it's
Yeah.
not like he was a bum.
Yeah. But he'll be more dependent on because he was in a power pack lineup where Ohtani and Betts and Freeman and all them guys got all the credit, and deservedly so, but he wasn't the first person to be worried about, but he still had great numbers. So, all right, this time next week, because this is the owners' meetings right now. That's why there's a lot of trades going on right now.
Yeah.
And I think when we come back next week, the Red Sox are going to look totally different. I think we're getting at least one, hopefully 2 more people. So, an ace if possible, an outstanding closer. We already signed.
The closers are right.
Yeah, we already signed Aroldis Chapman, but I think that's a shot in the dark because
He's not going to be a closer.
What happened to our old closer Jensen?
He's still there, as far as I know.
I think he might be unsigned for this year, and they got Chapman as insurance. But if Chapman
Chapman
comes in the 8th inning,
Chapman's a setup guy. He's not a closer.
but they say we need a closer. But I agree. I stay away from Bregman and I stay away from Nolan Ariando. I like Teoscar Hernandez, but I think Burns has to be the first priority. And I think we're going to compete mostly with San Fran. But because of the attitude of the Mets or Cohen, if he thinks he wants another frontline starter, but I think they're going after the Japanese kid that's going to get posted because he's only 23 and he can't command top dollar. So he'll be cheaper in the long run. But if they post him and they sign him, I think you can only sign somebody for 6 years. I don't think you can get like a giant contract on your first contract when you come over. But he might get like a 6-year deal, and then he'll be 29. And if he's what they say, he'll renegotiate at that time. But I don't know. I name my people. I want Burns and I want Tyler Walker. Or if we don't get that first baseman, I'd be happy with Hernandez. So we'll see what happens. But anything else you want to add before we get out of here? Because it's 8, and I want to go see both games. What's the update on UConn, man? We're out of here, and somebody give us an update before we leave. But I want to thank everybody for tuning in, and hopefully we'll have some more interesting topics for you guys next week. But we also want to thank everybody for tuning in.
43-35.
Start of the second half.
6:50 left in the first.
So I'm only going to see the last quarter, and then the football game comes on too, and I got to watch that for fantasy purposes.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Fantasy playoffs, brother.
So we're going to get up on out of here. Thanks, everybody, again for tuning in. And Mr. Cook, we'll have that sponsorship package for you tomorrow. Derek's going to draw it up. He said something about meeting you for a couple of drinks, and, you're our top free agent right now.
Jeff don't drink no more.
He doesn't have to. The drinks are for you.
I don't drink anymore either, really.
But
hey, man, y'all have a good night.
Thank you for tuning in again. See you next week. All right. Stop.